Okay, we're recording.
You can't remove the consequences for actions. You can't do those things. You can't give people participation trophies, and that's what you're doing.
Yeah,
and,
no, I agree.
And that attitude that people have by thinking they're being open-minded and kind and nice, you are just enabling people to keep fucking up their life by not
just getting to work by showing up.
They have no consequences, and you can't litter, right? So how come you can put a fucking tent filled with shit and just park it under the overpass? But if I throw a can of Diet Coke out my window into that same spot, I will get a fine and I will get arrested, rightly so. But why can this asshole park his fucking tent filled with crack there? How come you can have cardboard boxes just scattered out all over the place that you sleep on? I don't know what to tell that guy and how to change his life once he's got a tent, once you camped out under the overpass. There's a lot.
Okay, right there, Joe doesn't know what to tell that guy. Okay, he's going to get ready to say right here, a lot has gone wrong. I think he says next.
A lot of things that have gone wrong to get you to that position.
Not really. I mean, first of all, I want to say, I'm basically working on a book that it deals with core secrets on as far as what, as far as what does go wrong. And what I found, this book is like the core secret of everything. This one core secret that I cracked deals with the human mind, and it ties in with something that Jesus said in the Bible. But most people don't understand that Jesus was not a man. He thinks like a God, and he doesn't think like a man. So when Jesus says something, it just goes poof right over their heads, so far over their head that they don't get it. So of course Joe doesn't know how to help this guy because Joe's not a god. Joe does not help this guy because Joe's not a god, and he doesn't think like God, and he doesn't know everything like God. Now, the Holy Spirit, I was a messed up person. I mean, everybody knows I got YouTube videos and all this crazy stuff that's happened to me. Everybody knows, I lost everything, almost homeless twice. And what I found is that there is a way to help people like that. And it's very simple. And it's so simple. And I'm not really here promoting my book. My book will promote itself once I get it written. But Joe doesn't know. I mean, but yet he talks about, I've heard Joe talk one time about how to make your life famous. I mean, not famous, but he talked a bit, I can't remember the exact video, but I know he had his video out there where it's like, become what you believe or envision. I think what it was, the video was about what you envision, become, and then do, was kind of like Joe's solution on life, excuse me. But that was Joe's solution on life. And in a sense, he's right, because what it is, the core idea in which Joe's talking about is basically you write your own story. You're the author of your life. I think what Joe was talking about was like no one writes your story but you, right? Like you wake up, everybody wakes up every day, right? Everybody wakes up every day and they write the story of their life every day. Now there's core secrets on why one person reaches success and another person doesn't. And it doesn't have anything to do with intelligence. It doesn't have to do with intelligence. And there's also another thing happening, which I'm not going to reveal the secret of what it is, but it's so simple. It's the secret of all happiness, the secret of all wealth, the secret of everything when it comes to humanity. And yes, you can help this guy if you can get him. First of all, he's got to want to help himself, and second of all, he's got to know the secret that I know. So yes, you can help people like this, and Joe doesn't know how. You know, there's so many secrets when it comes to this mind that in schools they don't teach. You've got this powerful brain. I mean, everybody's got one. And people are incredibly intelligent. And what people don't understand, and I'm not going to give away the secrets of the book, but this mind, this powerful mind, it's like putting a powerful engine in a car. Like Joe on this issue was talking about cars, right? If you're going to put a powerful engine in a car, you got to have the right steering, you got to have the right brakes, you got to have the right accelerator. Everything else has to be synchronized to the powerful engine, right? So we have this powerful engine, but the only difference between successful people and people who are not successful is they don't know how to control it. So what happens? They become their own worst enemy. Nobody else writes a story of your life. So, and all this bullcrap that they were just talking about of this Jonathan Ward is really about the Democrats in California are so trying to help the victims that the victims, it's the victims basically, they're bending over backward to help the victim, is basically what they're doing. And Joe and this Jonathan Ward guy's talking about, you know, they're doing everything to help the victim. The guy can be stealing your car and you pull him out to remove him, and you become the victimizer when he was stealing your car. And but what's true is that these people are a victim. These people that are homeless are a victim. They're a victim of what? Their own self. They're a victim. They're their own worst enemy because they don't know how to use this powerful gray matter in between them. That's, once you learn how it works, I mean, I'm thinking about writing a book called, I mean, I've got so many books I'm thinking about writing, but this gray matter right here, it can be for you or it can be powerfully against you. Nobody's against you in a sense. I mean, sure, there's systems out there that are greedy and different systems, and yes, there are things that are against you. But in the United States, you pretty much have the ability to write your own story of your own life. And yes, it does take some experience, like I'm going brain dead on the second on the guy that ran Apple. Someone help me out. Who's the guy? I'm brain dead at the second that died of cancer. Somebody help me out. Steve Jobs. Thank you. You know, it does take time, you know, to become, I mean, to have the experience to become like a Steve Jobs. It does take time and persistence and experience and failure. See, in this country, everybody condemns failure. Failure isn't a bad thing. Failure actually, when you get burned, you learn. If you don't get burned, you don't learn. Like all these punishments that are happening, like the Democrats are not punishing the true people that are the victimizers. The victimizers shouldn't be rewarded like Joe's talking about. But the truth is, they are, the only victim they are is from their own self. Now, when you're raised as a child, you basically learn your language as a child, and you learn how to relate with other people in that language, which we call behavior, right? Behavior is a language in itself. So your behavior is a language in which how you relate with other people, right? And that's what is so corrupt about the Democrats in California. They have, like Joe says, they have no common sense because they can't they don't understand what the real problem is, and the real problem is the culture that they grew up in, their parents, and they give the excuse that these people were victims, and a lot of people are victims in these societies that make them to be unsuccessful in life. Like a lot of societies, they not only get victimized, and I hate to throw this in here, but I'm going to throw this one in here. Let's use this for an example. When it comes to the black issue about police officers killing other blacks, the numbers are pretty low. It's like there's 12 black men that are killed, that are unarmed, that are actually killed, but that doesn't mean they're not armed and dangerous. And the numbers show that I think police kill, I think it's like 200 or 300 blacks a year, 200 or 300 blacks. But then the black on black crime, which is the culture that they're in, they're murdering each other at I forget the exact numbers, but I think it's between 5,000 and 7,000, in which their culture itself are murdering each other, but no one bats an eye at that, right? So that culture is the problem, and they're being victimized in that culture constantly. And who's doing the victimizing? They're victimizing each other because they're victimized by the culture that they learn, and they're their own worst enemy. And that's a hard thing to wake somebody up from. That they're actually the problem. And now they didn't download this culture into them by their own choice. So they were a victim in that way. It wasn't their choice. That their parents, were whatever their parents were, whether it was just your dad wasn't home and you ran wild and did whatever you wanted, or whether it was your mom was a prostitute, or whether your dad was a drug dealer. Any of these things keep you from being raised like a Barack Obama, for example. Barack Obama had 2 stable parents. And, it's important. Because you learn from your parents. That's your foundation. It's just like a building has a foundation, right? If you don't have that foundation, now that's not... Didn't Barack Obama have white privilege? Is that white privilege that Barack Obama had? Because he had a foundation? No, that's how it's supposed to be. That's not white privilege. That's what you're supposed to have. So, and I'm not picking on any certain race, because what I'm talking about not as race, because behavior has nothing to do with skin color. Like my skin color does not create behavior. If I get a tan, my behavior doesn't change. If my ancestors stay in a region, for years and years and years, and all of a sudden they become darker skinned because they have 50 generations down someplace where the sun is hot and their body adapts, it doesn't change their behavior. So it has nothing to do with skin color. If you think it does, then you believe a lie. And there's a secret on that, which I'm not going to talk about. But it doesn't have anything to do with that, because those cultures are universal, whether it be in poor white culture, poor black culture. Any culture that is poor is usually a reflection of their thought processes of how the culture thinks, how the culture learns. And that is where you're your own worst enemy. So yes, these people can be helped, and there is one core secret in the mind in which you can switch a switch. And if you persistently switch this switch that I know how to switch, and I know exactly how it works, then yes, you can change everything on that person. It's very simple. It's just one thing. and anybody can do it. I can teach anybody to do it. It's the core secret of everything. So that's what I got to say to that. So I'm going to conclude this video and post it in the Joe Rogan chat here.